What's up guys, Brian, otherwise known as Slow Speeds, sitting here in my new Power Wagon. And why am I sitting here in my new Power Wagon? One, because I lost my tripod. Well, I misplaced it, so I don't really know where it is, so I can't go get a cool backdrop. We're making a pretty simple video today. Today, we're explaining why I traded my 2020 Ram 2500 equipped with the Cummins turbo diesel in for my new Power Wagon. And this, believe it or not, is a heavily requested video because I went from a diesel to a gas truck. So in this video, I'm gonna explain to you guys how I came to the decision to make a switch, why I did it, and I wanna be very clear, this is not a video trying to convince you that a gas truck is better than a diesel truck or vice versa. It's just the reason I made this switch, so you guys have an understanding why I did it moving forward with all the videos with the new Power Wagon. So let's get right into that. So first, I want to start off with this kind of interesting fact, and although it didn't necessarily impact the decision this time around, I actually tried to buy a Power Wagon before I bought my diesel. At the time of buying my diesel, there was very few Power Wagons around. I had no intentions of serious off-roading that I ended up doing in my diesel, and we'll get into that. I had never off-roaded before. I kind of just wanted a Power Wagon. I wanted to make fishing videos, stuff like that, and get to some cool locations. But at the time before I bought my diesel, I had there wasn't very many around, couldn't come to a deal on one, so I actually settled for the diesel, believe it or not, and didn't really ever say that, but the diesel at the time was settling for something I didn't necessarily want. So here's why I decided to make the decision to switch to a Power Wagon and get out of the diesel this time around. So before I start, I want to mention, for those that don't know, my 2020 Ram 2500 Cummins turbo diesel was heavily modified with 37s, 18-inch rims, a very nice front bumper from Chassis Unlimited, Carly suspension, 2.5-inch King shocks all around. And why does this stuff matter? Well, all that stuff made me fall in love with off-roading. I did this lift specifically. I started watching videos on Carly suspension, seeing all these diesel trucks go off-roading, being able to jump in the air no problem like a Ford Raptor, or being able to have the flex and articulation of a Jeep, and being out and doing the same type of trails was just a super cool concept to me, because a diesel isn't necessarily meant or built to do that. So it was just super cool, and so I ended up doing that to my truck, going off-roading a bunch. If you guys can go through my old videos, you can see the same things, and I just fell in love with off-roading, right? So that being said, with the newfound love of off-roading, the truck was super cool, but it had a couple issues here or there with my newfound love for off-roading, right? So the truck didn't have front or rear lockers. And for those that say, just add them to the truck. The truck, 2019, it was a 2020, but the new Cummins diesel trucks came out in 2019. My truck was a 2020, they came out in 2019, so technically they started production probably late 2018. Well, it's 2022 now, and there's still no rear lockers available, so that wasn't necessarily an option. There's no gears available, so I was stuck with the same gears and the 6-speed transmission, the 6.8 RFE, and for those who don't know, they're not known to be the most reliable. So beating on that truck off-road all the time, I didn't have the most confidence that it would hold up, not because of the suspension or anything, but because of the transmission. And then also it had the CP4 injection pump that had quite a bit of issues. Now there's a recall out for it for CP3 injection pump, but who knows when that will get in. It could be a couple months, and it's just known to fail at any point, right? And I want to go on some cool adventures, go off-roading, and it would just be detrimental for that to fail off-road. And then same with emissions equipment, seeing people have they're running out of depth for their whatever holds the depth, I don't know what it's called, cracking when it freezes, stuff like that. Just all this extra stuff that I didn't really need, because believe it or not, my Cummins, I did tow with it, but I didn't tow very heavy. So more often than not, that truck legitimately spent more time off-road, on off-road trails, on dirt and stuff, than it did towing a trailer. So I didn't really need the diesel. The potential issues that were there would have potentially became a headache. And so that being said, I started thinking, right, my truck wasn't perfect. It had a broken headlight. I had $2,000 Morimoto headlights on it. I had a broken headlight, so I would have had to spend money on that. The wheel and tire setup, I wasn't exactly totally happy with. They performed well, but I wanted to switch that. The suspension setup, Carly suspension, blew my mind. Absolutely amazing. King setup, all that stuff. It was so awesome, I wanted to do more. I wanted more and better. I had the King pin top leveling kit that wasn't upgradable, so in my mind, I wanted to go to a Dominator or something in the future. And to do that, I would have had to completely get a whole new suspension setup. So I was thinking, all right, I can just go ahead and sell this truck And this time around, I have a lot more knowledge, right? Before I had bought that truck and started modifying it, I had never been off-roading before, so I had none of the knowledge that I do now. So I'm like, all right, this truck has a few issues, a few things that need to be replaced. The Carly suspension did not need to be replaced, but I wanted to go above and beyond and do them. The suspension was so awesome, it makes you want more. It makes you wonder what's more. So I had that. So I was like, all right, I want to do a new suspension setup for this truck eventually. I want to do different wheels and tires. I need to get a different headlight. The truck already had 25,000 miles on it in a year. Just a few things like that. And then on top of it, it was cloth interior. Didn't have heated seats. Didn't have the big screen, which isn't necessarily a big deal to me. I don't need those in a daily. But coming from a Ram 1500 Laramie that had like the big screen, heated seats, all that, I had kind of missed it. So it got me kind of thinking, right? To keep that Cummins long term, not even needing a diesel at this moment, was going to cost me a lot of money to get it where I wanted it. And then on top of that, not even having lockers available for it and all that, I started to see posts online of people getting like 11% off MSRP on new Ram trucks, which is pretty fair, kind of what you were able to get pre-COVID on ordered trucks and all that. So I was like, it got me thinking, and I wasn't set on doing it. You know, people think all the time, and realistically, are they going to do it or not? But it got me thinking, oh, I could go get something else. I could do it right this time. And then so I was looking around, Power Wagons, all that stuff, the F250s, and I can make a different video on why I chose the Power Wagon over an F250. But I was looking around all these deals, and I got an offer for my truck. It was a decent amount more than I paid for the Cummins. So it got me thinking. I was like, I can go get a Power Wagon that has front and rear lockers, disconnecting sway bars. It weighs 1,000 pounds less, so it's just going to be better in that department. And for those who don't know, this is a level 3 package Power Wagon, so it has every option you can imagine, a way nicer interior, and it is my daily driver for those who don't know. So I was like, I can get something that's going to be a way nicer daily driver in terms of just interior comfort, quality, all that. I can get a decent amount for my truck, and then this time around, I can do it right this time. I can do everything the way I want to do it from the get-go, knowing a lot more than I knew when I built my Cummins. And then I didn't need the diesel. The diesel could tow 18,000 pounds. I realistically probably at most didn't even tow 8,000 pounds. At the time of buying the diesel, I was settling for a Ram 2500. Not settling for a Ram 2500. Love that truck. Settling is not the right term. But I had wanted a Power Wagon, and I didn't get what I wanted originally. So I put a year on that truck, 25,000 miles, absolutely abused it, had tons of fun, learned a lot of stuff, and I could get out of it for a relatively good deal. I maybe lost a bit of money after all the modifications and stuff, but I could go get, essentially at my time, my dream truck, a Power Wagon, build it up right, and at the end of the day, it'll probably be a bit more capable having the diesel instead of a Hemi. Oh wait, having a Hemi instead of a diesel, just because it's going to be more lightweight. At the end of the day, if it's not better than the diesel that I had, it's going to be a lot nicer inside the daily. My wife loves it a lot more, the interior and all that stuff. So that being said, guys, I mean, it's not a crazy story why I got rid of the diesel. I think it makes a lot of sense for my uses, given I spent more time off-road with the diesel than I did with a trailer behind it. So I kind of just got out of it. I didn't need the headache of a diesel long-term, and it makes a lot of sense if you guys are using the diesel to its full potential. I wasn't, so just got to thinking, guys, and now I own a Power Wagon. I've been loving it so far. Gas mileage I ain't loving so much, but yeah, guys, I'm extremely happy with the decision. I asked a few people before I did it their opinions and all that, and some are wishy-washy. Some people were like, definitely go for it if you don't need a diesel. A lot of people have the mindset that nowadays, well, a lot of people have the mindset that diesel or nothing, but a lot of people are starting to get the mindset that they wouldn't own a diesel unless they needed it due to all the emission headaches and all that. So I'm happy with the decision, guys. Feel free to comment down below if you think it was dumb for me to get out of the diesel, if you think my reasons are kind of BS. I think they're pretty fair. At least in my mind, they're pretty fair. I think in my mind, I got a lot nicer all-around truck for my needs. It's going to be more capable off-road, especially after I do similar modifications to it that I did with my Cummins. This truck eventually will be getting a Carly suspension setup, all those different kinds of things. It will be on 37s, different wheel setup, all that. Give me some time. Let me work my way up to it. But I'm loving the truck so far. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Comment down below. I will respond to every single video or every single comment down below to the best of my ability. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.